Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
All right. Welcome to South Slough National Estuary Research Reserve and Creature Feature Live. This is, I think, our third Creature Feature Live.
Yep.
We think it's the best yet. This is Showdown at Ghost Shrimp Burrow. And today we're featuring the ghost shrimp. I'm Tom Gaskill. I'm the education program lead here at South Slough. And
I'm Isabella Carazzi, and I am an intern through AmeriCorps.
And Isabella and I both think that ghost shrimp are really cool.
They're super cool.
They're super cool. And we're going to be exploring them today. And Isabella's been doing some wicked research on these ghost shrimp. And we've created the ghost shrimp corral.
The ghost shrimp corral.
You can't see it yet, but you will. And we think it's a very special spot where we're going to check out how ghost shrimp burrow and maybe have a little showdown later on in the show. So, all right, Isabella, how are we going to learn about ghost shrimp? What do we have here?
Well, first of all, we need to learn about the estuary.
Okay.
So, Tom, what's an estuary?
Estuary, where rivers meet the ocean, where fresh and salt water meet and mix. So these places, incredibly fascinating and dynamic places. You've got the fresh water coming down from rainfall, from snowmelt in the case of the river valley where Isabella comes from up in Washington State. And in some cases, even fog can contribute fresh water to the system. And earlier today, it was foggy here on the Oregon coast, although it's sunny out right now. And that fresh water, as it flows in, it mixes with the seawater and creates these special habitats. So the one that we all live in, that we don't strictly think of as a part of the estuary, but it's very important to the estuary, is the watershed, the area of land that drains down to a creek or a stream. And we all live in a watershed. What we do in the watershed affects the quality of the water that comes into the estuary. But then we have these three different habitats down near the shoreline of the estuary, and those are salt marshes. They're places where rooted flowering plants grow, and they're very diverse, very interesting places. They're flooded by the tides twice a day, so we have 2 high tides and 2 low tides here on the Oregon coast. But there's a point where the rooted flowering plants no longer can make it, with the exception of one, which is eelgrass. But these salt marshes give way to tidal flats or mud flats. And the tidal flats or mud flats are made up of this kind of stuff right back here. And you can see our creature feature that we're going to talk about here in a little bit is working across one of these mud flats that we've created. And then there's a certain place where even at the lowest of tides, there's still water in the open water channel. And so those are the habitats of the estuary, but we want to delve into a little bit more of the mud flats. Do we want to do our mud flat experiment yet,
Yes.
or are we going to wait?
Let's talk about the mud flats.
All right. So we have here a little sample, and I hope you can all see that. Gabriel is our engineer today and producer, my son, and so Gabriel, I need a thumbs up. Can everybody, is that showing up well on the camera?
Yes.
All right.
So what do we have there?
So here, thank you for asking, Isabella. We have some fine sediments right here, and we have some water in this little jar. And right now it looks pretty clear and no problem, but estuaries don't hold still. They're moving all the time with the tides. So what I'm going to do now is just shake it a little bit, just a little bit. You can start to see that sediment suspended, right?
Yep, turbidity.
Turbidity, very good, but if the tidal currents really move, it turns pitch black.
Yep.
And this is the kind of habitat that a ghost shrimp lives in, is that right?
Yeah.
Nice. All right, so we're going to set that down. We'll come back to this later in the program and see how long it took for that to settle out. It's starting to now, but we'll give it some time. All right. So what's up next? So they live in these muddy places.
Yes, so ghost shrimp live in the muddy tide flat area of the estuary. So what are they doing in this mud? Well, they're burrowing U-shaped tunnels in this mud where they continue to basically burrow for constantly.
Wow. And how do they burrow?
They burrow with their claws. One of them was burrowing with their claws earlier.
In the
over
corral.
here, over here in our ghost shrimp corral. But they're also moving with other parts of their body, which brings me to the anatomy of the ghost shrimp. So why don't we go ahead and check some ghost shrimp out?
All right, so I'm going to step over to that side of you and bring the video cam around. So we have this cool video flex cam here, and we're going to make Gabriel's life a little challenging. We're going to try for you, Gabriel, to, there we are, Isabella, you can see on the screen behind you.
Yep.
All right, does that look like a good view?
It does look like a good view.
All right.
All right, so first what we got here is a ghost shrimp.
He's kind of going off screen here.
Yeah.
He's a little shy, perhaps. He or she?
He. So this is actually a male.
All right.
We will get into how to sex a ghost shrimp later. But first of all,
Whoop.
every ghost shrimp has this top part, which is called the carapace, which is their head. And then they all have claws. Not as big as this one, but they all have claws. These are the legs.
How many?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, so
6 legs plus their pinchers. They have 2 pinchers there and 2 pinchers above.
nice.
And then they've got these abdominal segments. And their tail area is called the telson.
Excellent.
And then underneath them, they've got these cool things called swimmerets or pleopods. These things, they're kind of like big shovels that help them to move around when they're in the mud. And then they've also got some large antennae and some smaller antennae. And then they also have hairs on their legs, which we will get into when we talk about what they eat.
And what, can they see anything?
Can they see anything? Well, they've got little, tiny little eyes.
Oh, look at
You
that.
can barely see their little eyes. They're 2 little black beady little dots.
You didn't draw those on there?
I
with
did
marker or
not.
something?
I
All
did
right.
not draw this on there.
That's what it looks like you put 2 little spots on there. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So they don't really need big eyes.
They don't really need big eyes, so let's talk about that. So ghost shrimp don't really rely on their eyes. They don't really need good vision because they use their antenna and their sensory hairs to get food. So eyesight isn't very important because it's so dark underground where they are.
Nice.
Yeah.
So as they're burrowing down, they're probably the really sensitive antennae, and then these little fine hairs that they have, they can pick up movement in the water current. Huh?
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah. So why don't we go ahead and
We want to look at this other one?
Sex? Yes.
Okay.
let's find the sex.
Let's find the
So-
sex of them. All right.
So this guy right here, he doesn't seem to have any eggs in his abdomen.
And wait a minute. Before we leave that, though, what about this? He's got a huge claw.
Yes.
One huge claw.
He does have one huge claw. Why do you
Kind of
think?
lopsided.
What do you think he would use this claw for?
Hitchhiking.
Hitchhiking.
Stick a thumb out.
That's one.
He could.
That's a good guess.
That's a battle claw. I
Yeah?
think that's a battle claw.
It looks like a battle
So he
claw.
could use that to go into battle.
It's pretty
Is
huge.
that what it's about?
So ghost shrimp, some of them have huge claws. These huge claws are a defense mechanism as well as sexual display. So this guy has a huge claw, and it'll make the female like him more the bigger the claw.
Wow.
Also, these guys use their claws for defense. So I actually picked one up earlier, and one of them just dropped their claw, completely detached it from its body. And what this is a distraction to distract the predator while the ghost shrimp gets away.
Wow, very
Yeah.
cool. So it's not cool for the animal, except it's better than being eaten.
Right, exactly.
So,
Kind of a
hey.
last resort.
It's kind of a, hey, look over there.
Yep.
That didn't work with you at all.
Yeah, I didn't look. I just looked at you.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
which is worse. So
Yeah.
if you were a predator, I'd be toast.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to look at the female?
Yes.
All right, switcheroo.
So here we got the female. Can you see that?
Yeah, for a second there, that male thought he had it made. It was like, wow, just me and her in this little dish together.
Little secluded area. So right here we got
Oh, look at that. Whoops.
we got a female, and you can tell that this one is a female because of her eggs that she has in her abdomen.
Wow.
So
Let's
you
see if we
guys
can
see
really. I'm gonna hold her still, and I'm gonna try and zoom right in there.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
She has a lot
Lots and lots of eggs.
of eggs.
So how many eggs do you think she's gonna lay?
Wow. I would guess we're in probably 500 to 1,000 eggs.
To 1,000 eggs.
No, I'm overestimating. I'm known to do that. I exaggerate from time to time.
So actually, we believe she's gonna lay about 25 to 30 eggs, which is still a lot more than humans.
Really?
Yeah.
She has more eggs under there than 25 or 30. Wow.
It looks like it.
Maybe she hangs on to something.
Maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So what else is different about the female?
So
I would say she does not have the display
claw.
Yeah,
Right.
that the male has, and her coloring is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Although that, I don't know if that's true. That's a good question. Are females differently colored than males?
I do not know.
Don't know.
But I have seen some males that are kind of pinker as well.
She looks pretty uncomfortable in the glass. It seems like she would prefer some mud
Yes, it does.
to burrow in.
It does look like that.
And I want to just see, as we zoom down in here, let's see if we can really pick up on those little eyes.
You see her tiny little eyes.
So Gabriel, can our viewers see that pretty well, do you think? Those
Yeah.
eyes? Good. All right. So now, should we go to the showdown at Ghost Shrimp Burrow?
Sure, but before I
I'm
do
sorry.
that, I
Yes.
want to discuss why a ghost shrimp is called a ghost shrimp.
Oh, of course.
Is it because they say boo?
I would guess not.
No.
I would think that is not why a ghost shrimp is called a ghost shrimp. They are kind of scary looking, I guess, if you're small.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of freak you out a little bit.
Yeah. So actually it has to do with their coloring. So the ghost shrimp exoskeleton has no pigment, so giving it a clear-like appearance. So it makes it look kind of ghostly and creepy. So why don't these ghost shrimp have pigment in their exoskeleton?
Because they are not in a place where they're going to be seen by anything. They're hanging out down in the mud. Is that it? Right.
So it has to do with the sun. So they don't need the pigment as sunscreen since they're in the dark all the time. So they're not like humans where we will burn because we actually go outside and are in the sun a lot.
So it's kind of a waste for them to have.
Mm-hmm.
It would be just a waste of energy to have that pigment.
Exactly.
All right. Well, what do you think? Do you want to look at the burrow or at the corral?
Let's go to Ghost Shrimp Corral.
I think we should. We're getting ready for Showdown at Ghost Shrimp Corral.
Yep.
So I'm going to move our video camera back over here, and you'll notice that. Let's see if I can get that on screen without making you all sick because it's upside down. And
So there are two ghost shrimp in this Ghost Shrimp Corral. You just can't see one of them because he already burrowed all the way down. So he's hidden from view.
let's go here. So now we can kind of see this ghost shrimp in its habitat. I mean, it's sort of its habitat.
So that's a nice view of the swimmerettes.
And I'm gonna sneak around here, Isabella, and it's hard to control that camera from right there. All right. So we can see the swimmerettes, and do we want to let's look at the front and see what this ghost shrimp is doing up front. There, we can get a nice view of those very fine, sensitive hairs. It's a little bright back there. Maybe that is a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely.
How's that look, engineer? All right. So we can see the antenna and we can see the surface, and I'm going to zoom back for our viewers and give them a sense of what the ghost shrimp corral actually looks like. Or Gabriel, you have that on camera too. Can you show us the ghost shrimp corral? All right. So this ghost shrimp corral, I'll keep our video monitor on our subject ghost shrimp here and
Focused.
There we are. Kind of a nice backlit scene. All right. So you're probably going to see my giant finger leaning down. So this ghost shrimp corral is just a couple of plates of glass right here, and pinned between the plates of glass is some of the sediment that ghost shrimp like to burrow in. And the reason that we do that is so that we can actually watch the ghost shrimp potentially burrow down and study their behavior. Obviously, this is not what it's like out on the tide flats, but I want to just zoom in here right now. This is totally cool. If we can see this, is what I'm seeing right there is not what I want to be seeing. Right there. Oh, I see. It's the reflection of the camera is what. So, darn. So I've scared our ghost shrimp. Why is that happening? I'm probably driving our viewers crazy here. But the burrow of the ghost shrimp is actually down low, but instead what I'm seeing is Gabriel, so I'm seeing the reflection. Let me see if I can bring it over this way. There we are. So that is actually the burrow of the ghost shrimp right there.
Cool.
So Gabe, you're on this camera? Okay. And yeah, and the vibrations cause this ghost shrimp to actually back out of the burrow, but that little squiggle right there is the burrow of this ghost shrimp. There he is.
There he is.
All right, so you can see the ghost shrimp moving up and down in the burrow.
You got a shot of his swimmerets and his tail, his telson.
And so we can only imagine that that burrow extends upwards from that point right there, kind of angled. And it's interesting, if I looked at the surface of this tank, what I see is that that burrow is actually over here. It's opened up on the other side of the tank. So at least we got it. There he is. He's coming down. He seems like he's ready for a showdown. Do you think?
Definitely.
All right. So we're going to go back over here and see what our view is. Okay. And let's see if that is that any better. It's still pretty darn bright. So we're struggling. Can you see there? Or did it just totally disappeared? Yeah. So we need that light up front. Lighting is tricky with this sort of deal. So, all right, maybe we'll leave the video cam there, and we're going to come back a little bit. We can see that the surface. And Isabella, if you want to introduce one of our new ghost shrimp in, I will run the camera. So I'm going to backlight that again.
All right, I'm going to go get another ghost shrimp.
Oh, you could probably use one from in here, no?
Oh, good idea.
All right. So this is the ghost shrimp that we have right at the surface.
So I'm going to be adding the male that was in this dish. He's got a huge claw, probably ready to fight.
All right, so in he goes. Wow, look at that.
Looks like he's already starting to dig.
And he's over by the burrow of that other one. Now we can see that the other ghost shrimp is actually down low, and How about that? That's pretty good right there. So who do you think's going to win this showdown, Gabe? Go shrimp A in burrow or go shrimp B trying to burrow? What do you think, Isabella?
Probably the one in the burrow because he's hiding.
So the one in the burrow, I can report live right now that the one in the burrow is just holding still.
Yeah.
In fact, yeah, do you want to switch seats so I can see the monitor a little bit more?
Sure.
Thanks. Oh, he moved. So I wonder if he moved because of vibration. I bet that was it, is I vibrated the table a little bit. But check that out. So ghost shrimp B, we can't call them ghost shrimp A and ghost shrimp B. What should we call them? Buddy. Buddy is in the burrow. And who's up? Who's on top? Neo. Neo, because the Latin name is Neotropia.
Oh, okay.
Neotropia.
And the Matrix.
And from the Matrix, right? So Neo, who's the new ghost shrimp, Neo meaning new, is now kind of laying over sideways, but definitely moving some sediment, and seems less. Oh, there he goes.
He's definitely digging.
He's definitely digging, and I can't see Buddy down in the bottom doing anything in particular. So it's as though Buddy is just somewhere in that burrow hanging out and waiting and trying to sense what this disturbance is about.
Yeah, Buddy is safe for now.
Do you think Neo will go toe-to-toe with Buddy? Or claw-to-claw, as they say?
Maybe. I actually thought that Neo was going to go claw-to-claw with this other guy that's on top.
And yet Neo seems to be ignoring...
Yeah, completely. Oh,
it's a turnaround.
He's now facing... What's the third shrimp?
Wow, look at that. He has like a big clump. We need to track on Neo.
So what do ghost shrimp eat?
What do they eat?
Let's talk about that. So
that sounds excellent. And I'll keep this trained on our
keep
on Neo.
looking at Neo.
Right.
So ghost shrimp eat detritus. So detritus is dead, decaying organic matter such as leaf litter, decomposing animal carcasses, or animal waste. So they're underground, so how do they get this detritus? Well, Buddy is in his burrow right now. So what he's going to do is he's going to pump the water into his burrow, and because it's U-shaped, like this, he's able to pump the water in, and then the rest of the water will go and exit in the other side of the U. So as he's pumping this water, it is moving over his body. This water brings detritus with it, and the ghost shrimp has hairs on their legs that will, the detritus will attach to these legs. So that's how they get their detritus.
Very cool.
Yes, and to get enough food to sustain them, they're pretty much constantly feeding, constantly burrowing.
So this Neo is like standing on his head, and I can see
Buddy's... Kind of like a barnacle.
I'm going to come down here and show you that Buddy, that's Buddy's claw. So there's Buddy now backing out, or back over to Neo. Now, are they in the same burrow or a different burrow?
It looks pretty dang similar to the burrow that Buddy burrowed.
And what are we going to call this one over here? So this one is also a male.
You're good at names.
I'm good at names. Well, they used to be called Callianassa. So this is a guy. Generally, Callie is a girl's name, but Cal. So Cal seems nonplussed. Cal seems very relaxed and is moving a little bit, but definitely Cal is not industrious. Cal is kind of a...
He's not a fighter.
Not a fighter.
He's not into violence.
He's a lover, not a fighter. Mm-hmm. Look at the beautiful detail, Isabella, on Cal's antennae. Mm-hmm.
Looks
Really
like
see
there's
those
lots of
fine-
hair.
So very sensitive. Cal is sensitive and able to sense vibration
Mhm.
and movement. And that's what we found too with Buddy, is every time that I vibrate the table, Buddy disappears away from the lighter area of the burrow. Let's go back over here and check in on Neo. Wow. So for Neo, it's just rumps up. I mean, Neo has his head down in the sediment, and just his hiney showing.
Yep.
So his hiney, his abdominal segments.
Yeah, abdominal segments.
Yes, and Telson tail. So good. All right. Well, let's just zoom back out here, and I think we are about finished with Ghost Shrimp Showdown at Ghost Shrimp Corral.
Right.
Any last parting thoughts? I'm gonna give us a nice view here of Cal, because Cal does not seem to particularly care about
Cal doesn't
anything. Cal is laid back, much like California, perhaps, which is
Cowabunga, dude.
and it's Neotropia californiensis or californianus, and so this is the California ghost shrimp, and he just seems like pretty laid back. So we'll get a nice parting shot there of Cal. He's waving with his Uropods?
Uropods?
Pleopods.
Pleopods, right.
Pleopods, thank you. All right. All right, so I'm going to come around and
Back to your seat.
we'll finish up.
So let's talk about how long these ghost shrimp live. So,
Yeah.
so that's important to
do they
know.
live?
So we believe that they live to be about 3 to 5 years on average.
So that's out in the wild.
Out in the wild.
And there are predators that eat ghost shrimp.
Right.
What eats ghost shrimp?
So that depends on whether it's high tide or low tide. So during high tide, what will prey on the ghost shrimp are fish such as sculpin. And then during low tide, when the holes are exposed, shorebirds will prey on the ghost shrimp as well as humans. So what do humans use ghost shrimp for? Well,
Fish bait.
Exactly, fish bait.
Yep. Yeah, if I was thinking about something juicy and tasty to feed a fish so that I could catch the fish, that right there would be a good item. Very succulent and no spines, nothing to speak of, but difficult to get at when burrowed down in the sediment. So how do people get a hold of ghost shrimps? Do you know?
Well, I use a clam gun. Clam guns work pretty well.
I think we have a couple of examples. Sort of
There's a shrimp gun also.
the shrimp gun right here. Right? So if this was the mud, I take this. This is a burrow right here. And I drive that down and I pull, right? And then slurp it out.
Yep.
Do it again, hopefully. But if I was lucky the first time, I might have actually gotten the ghost shrimp.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
So people are out there and they're getting these ghost shrimp, and predators are out there hunting these ghost shrimp. Are ghost shrimp endangered or threatened in any way? How are they doing?
So ghost shrimp are actually in decline in Oregon and Washington, and it's not because of the predators. So it's actually unknown. It has something to do with how there's not enough young to replace the dying adults, but enough young are being produced. It's just that the young aren't surviving. So again, we don't know why this is. Some people think it might be a parasite. Others think that the young are surviving in the ocean for several months, but then once they come to the tide flats in the estuary, they're not surviving. So,
wow.
big
And
mystery.
they have a cousin, the ghost shrimp do, the mud shrimp, Upogibia, and Upogibia is in severe decline. So we're really not, when I came to South Slough 25 years ago, there were mud shrimp. You could find mud shrimp, which look similar, but they're bluish in color, and they're a little softer, find them in softer sediments. And now, I haven't seen mud shrimp in quite a long time. And What we do know is that they have a parasite, and that parasite is an introduced species, and it's causing some trouble with sterilization of these. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, I think we're done with Ghost Shrimp Showdown at Ghost Shrimp Corral. I think it was fairly successful. What we learned is that they are not gunslingers. They don't seem to battle each other severely, not to the death. And I think they're a pretty interesting animal.
They're also really important. So they're important to the tide flat ecosystem because they're constantly moving around the sediment and aerating it. So this provides habitat for lots of other little critters in the tide flats, such as worms, clams, isopods, and other shrimp.
In fact, there are some clams that actually live inside ghost shrimp burrows. That is their habitat. That's where they're found.
Yeah.
So, well, I think this has been fun.
Yeah.
I think I want to remind our viewers, Creature Feature Live, we just started doing this about, I don't know, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, and we hope to continue. So we have another one planned for September. You'd have to look on our website, southsloughEstuary.org, to see the exact date. And I'll also remind you that these are recorded. So on YouTube, when we do this as a hangout on air, it gets recorded to a channel, and you can subscribe to that channel, and then you can also view these on our website. They're archived on the southsloughEstuary.org website. So please feel free to send questions on Beyond Today to me at tom.gaskill@state.or.us, or you can find that on our website as well. And sadly, Isabella will be leaving us. Not sadly, I mean sad for us, but good for you to go. Where are you headed to, Isabella?
I'm going back to Washington to go back to Western Washington University.
All right. And while you're up there, I'll remind you, visit our sister reserve at Padilla Bay. So if there are viewers out there today from Padilla Bay National Estuarine Research Reserve, hello. And to all estuarine research reserves around the country, there are 28 different sites. So you may be viewing from a state other than Oregon. And if you are, find your estuarine research reserve or the one closest to you and visit and learn more about estuaries. They're fascinating places. So thanks for watching and have a good afternoon.